What is up, guys? It is Quinn here, and in this video we're going to be running through the weekly injury report. So going through the players who are questionable, doubtful, and then some of the guys who have already been ruled out heading into week 5, just kind of going through the important players, the fantasy relevant options. If you guys enjoy the video, you guys know the drill. Hit that like button. If you are still not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. And then if you guys have any last minute fantasy questions, start sits, trades, whatever it is, you guys can drop those down below and I'll get back to every single person. But let's start off by talking about some of the players who are questionable heading into, I guess, Sunday or Monday. And we're going to start it off here with Isaiah McKenzie. Now, this is actually pretty interesting because he's dealing with a concussion. McKenzie has been a guy who's actually given you, decent fantasy production, but every week on like the waiver wire video, I'm always talking like it's probably unsustainable. He doesn't have the slot role locked down. It's like a 50-50 with him and Crowder. If McKenzie is able to play this game and is 100%, Jamison Crowder is going to be missing a significant amount of time with a broken ankle. So McKenzie could slot right into a very, very solid role in this offense. So honestly, like if you're in a deeper league, I wouldn't hate McKenzie as a start if he is good to go. Now, if he's somewhat banged up, we could see Khalil Shakir kind of slide in there, kind of take some of Crowder's snaps. But if McKenzie can lock down that slot role, I'm talking like 70, 80% route participation, he's going to be looking like a great fantasy option moving forward. We have David Montgomery, who is questionable with that ankle injury. Obviously, if David Montgomery misses this game, you're going to be firing up Khalil Herbert as like a solid back-end running back 2 play, like fringe top 24 guy. I truly do believe that if Montgomery plays, it's really going to muddy this backfield, and I guess Montgomery would be a start, but I could see this being like a 70-30 split, 60-40, and in a Bears offense that's probably not going to put up a ton of points. It's not exactly a great spot to be in, especially when the passing volume is so low. Probably going to be limited receiving opportunities for these guys. So I think it's a lot clearer if David Montgomery is out, you fire up Khalil Herbert. If Montgomery's playing, it's going to be a situation that we'll monitor heading into Sunday. Then we have Amon-Ra, who is dealing with an ankle injury. He missed week 4. Looks like he has a shot at returning here in week 5. If he's playing, you're obviously going to be firing him up. And I think it probably just has a big impact on Jared Goff, right? Like Jared Goff with Amon-Ra, I view much higher than Jared Goff without him. And you guys may be coming to me saying, well, look what he did last week. Come on, we can't be expecting that. Missing Swift, who I'm going to get to, missing a guy like Chark. We can't be expecting them to do that, with TJ Hawkinson and Josh Reynolds every single week. And we also have Josh Reynolds dealing with an ankle injury. I don't know what's up with these Detroit Lions ankles, but it's like all their top skill position players are dealing with the exact same thing. So Reynolds is someone who's probably not super relevant, but maybe if Amon-Ra is out, you're in a very deep league, 16, 18, 20 team league, then he's someone you could probably throw into your lineup. We've got Jacoby Myers dealing with that knee injury still. He's an interesting option because I do think he's a solid play in a normal week with Mac Jones in the lineup. But this whole new thing, like rookie quarterback, he's banged up. It does make him a lot less appealing to start, even if he does play this week. If he's out, I'm still not, throwing any of these other Patriots wide receivers into my lineup. Then we have Alvin Kamara, who has missed 2 games so far this season, still dealing with that rib issue. I would like to say I think he's going to play this week. Obviously, I'm not totally locked in on that. I just talked about him in my time to panic video, talking about some players who have been early season busts. But I do think Alvin Kamara can definitely bounce back. And if he is active for this game, I'm not going to shy away from throwing him into my lineup. We've got 2 more studs from the same team, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, both on the injury report. Tyreek Hill with a quad, Jalen Waddle with a groin. If active, both of these guys are obviously locked in starts. So kind of just a situation we'll have to monitor. It's not exactly some detailed breakdown we need here because if Hill is out, it's not like we're starting another wide receiver. Same thing with Waddle. We're probably not starting Teddy Bridgewater anyway unless it's super flex or a crazy large league. So really it's check on Sunday. Is he playing? If he is, he's in your lineup. If he's out, obviously find a replacement. Over to the Buccaneers, we actually have a pretty limited Buccaneers injury report. Remember week 2, 3, it's Evans, Godwin, Fournette, Julio, Perriman. You just had the entire roster on the injury report, at least all the skill positions. Now it's just Julio Jones here, still dealing with that knee injury. I still believe Julio is someone who can be relevant down the stretch. Obviously, he's not playable right now, but I think in best ball leagues, he's still someone I'm happy to have on a lot of my rosters. If you're in a deeper league, I still think he's someone, you can hold on to. Just kind of wait for that end of the season stretch. But in terms of starting him, he's going to have to show he can stay on the field. And when he's on the field, he's also going to have to show that he can produce. We saw some nice flashes in week 1, but unfortunately injuries have really kind of hindered him moving forward. Over to the Cowboys, we have two of their, solid positional players. CeeDee Lamb dealing with a groin, Tony Pollard with a sickness. From what I've seen today, it doesn't seem like either of these are overly serious injuries. So if CeeDee Lamb's playing, you're obviously firing him up. Tony Pollard is someone I'd like to be avoiding at this spot, but maybe you went 0 RB, hero RB. He's someone you need to throw into your lineup. I think he's like a back-end running back 3 at this point. Over to the Bengals, we have T. Higgins dealing with an ankle injury. I really hope T. Higgins is good to go this week. He just is a player who has been really strong to start off this season. Everyone kind of just threw him behind Jamar Chase. I don't think they gave him the appropriate respect, and he's been putting up solid production despite dealing with injuries. I believe he had a concussion early on in the season, got hit in the head again, had to sit out, a few plays, now dealing with an ankle. Hopefully he will be good to go because I think he's a locked-in top 10 wide receiver moving forward. Now going into two quarterbacks who are currently listed as doubtful, we've got Mac Jones with the Patriots. Kind of alluded to him when I was talking about Jacoby Myers. Really, I don't think this has a crazy impact on anyone because it's not like Mac Jones was, this fantasy relevant option, or it's not like he was feeding any of these wide receivers. It's probably a slight downgrade for a guy like Jacoby Myers. But overall, in this Patriots offense, you want to be starting Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris, especially in their matchup this week. But other than that, you'd hope to be fading the rest of their options. And then the other quarterback here is Jameis Winston, still dealing with back/ankle injuries. Honestly, it kind of seemed like they were going to let him play through it, and then he really struggled. So it's all right, might as well let him heal up here. I don't know if this has a massive implication on any of their pass catchers, but we will get into another Saints player in the out section. And let's actually jump into the players who have been ruled out. So looking at that London game, we saw Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Kenny Golladay. All those dudes have been ruled out. Basically, the two dudes on there, Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale Robinson, those are the players that I think, could give you some sort of spark down the stretch. They have Sills, they have Richie James. We don't want to be playing those dudes in the lineup. If there were going to be wide receivers we'd be interested in long term, it would be Toney, it would be Wan'Dale Robinson. So it's unfortunate we're not going to be seeing those dudes. We see Dawson Knox is out of this game dealing with a foot/hamstring injury. In my opinion, he's not someone who's been startable basically since week 1, but maybe you're still holding him on as a fringe option. He will not be going. Some rough news here with Keenan Allen and that hamstring. I remember this whole thing started out in week 1 where I believe they had a Thursday night game. So it's all right, he probably won't play in that Thursday night game, but he'll be good to go heading into week 3. Then they rule him out for week 3, and then it's all right, he's going to be a game time decision here, and it just keeps on getting prolonged. So he is still out. This is going to be his 4th game missed with that hamstring. He's someone I have on a lot of my rosters, so definitely unfortunate there. I still think once he comes back, he's going to be, a very solid fringe wide receiver 1, but it's definitely a little bit concerning, especially an older wide receiver. Maybe it's, a little tougher for him to kind of get back from this injury, but someone you're obviously still keeping on your roster and will be ready to fire up when he does return. For the Lions, we have DeAndre Swift, who's out, shoulder/ankle injury. I think more emphasis on the shoulder. This is kind of something we expected. We saw Dan Campbell come out, say, he could kind of use the 2 weeks off. Obviously, week 4 was the first week. Week 5 is the second one. I believe they have a week 6 bye. So I'd be expecting DeAndre Swift back in your lineup in week 7. And then I think I already mentioned it, but DJ Chark on that same team out with an ankle. For the Saints, we have Michael Thomas out again with that foot injury. Really unfortunate here for MT. He had all the injury problems, the ankle issues over the last, 2-3 seasons? Might have been 2 seasons. And then he finally gets back, looks really good through 2 weeks. Now he's dealing with this brand new injury here, so hopefully he'll get back. I do think this means Chris Olave is a very strong wide receiver to play. I think he's a locked-in top 24. I think you can make an argument for top 20, and he's going to continue to have an opportunity to ball out in this offense. He'd probably be better suited with Jameis just in terms of the overall volume, but I still think he's talented enough to produce with a guy like Andy Dalton. Over to the Dolphins, we have Tua here out with a concussion. Not exactly a surprise after that very gruesome hit he took. Good thing, he's getting the rest. We already talked about the wide receivers, Hill, Jalen Waddle, so it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater for this team. You're not starting Bridgewater in your lineups. Some more unfortunate news here. Kyle Pitts dealing with a hamstring injury. He has already been ruled out of the game against the Bucs. So for Kyle Pitts owners, kind of brutal here because you just went from like poor production to now he's not even playing, and you kind of would have been hoping to see some progress. I did think this was going to be a decent matchup against the Bucs just because I thought they were going to be trailing. They were going to have to throw the ball. Unfortunately, we will not see him play. Just kind of piling on to the fact that he has not been a great pick so far. Then we've got some back-to-back rookie wide receivers. Treylon Burks out with a toe injury. Also really unfortunate here for Burks. He was someone who was really starting to ascend into that starting role. He had 2 solid games with limited opportunities. Then he got the shot, didn't exactly produce, gets injured the next game. Now he's missing time. Hopefully he'll be able to get back and still kind of make his case to be a really strong rookie pick. Jahad Dotson out with a hamstring injury. This was expected. Earlier in the week, we saw Ron Rivera come out, say Dotson, probably in line to miss 1 to 2 weeks. He is someone who's been a very solid fantasy asset, through the first 4 weeks of the season. A little touchdown dependent, but for a rookie, just getting any production out here is impressive. I think you still roll with Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin as solid wide receiver 3s, but there's not another wide receiver like a De'Ami Brown that I'm now elevating into starter potential. Now we've got some kickers here. Jake Elliott for the Eagles has been ruled out with an ankle, and then I don't think Harrison Butker has been ruled out, but he's been dealing with that ankle injury. Forgot to throw him in there on the questionable section. So we'll see if he goes. We just don't have the actual designation because the Chiefs play on Monday night. So we should be getting that, I guess, the day that this does come out. And then we've got Dak Prescott, the final player here, out with that thumb injury. It seemed like he, was trying to play this week. It's not going to happen. It looks like week 6 will be the new target for him. Honestly, week 6, week 7, whenever he gets back, it's going to be great news for CeeDee Lamb. It's definitely going to be good news for Zeke, Pollard, just kind of going to raise the tide of this entire offense. Even though Cooper Rush has come in and done, an admirable job. For fantasy, he's not exactly going to be giving you these top-tier producers. He's just kind of grinding it out for the actual NFL team. But those are the Week 5 injuries. Any questions, drop those down below. As always, thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.